Hello, it's me, Yemmy the Ferret here with another Top 10 Video Redux. This will be the last of the official channel Top 10 lists that we are redoing. After this will be just ones that I'm redoing that did not make it onto this channel, but maybe were on a one before, or other ones that I have since moved on from or deleted. Like I said in the last time I did this, probably the game of the year is not going to change for those lists, but there are probably a few changes that I'll make to the games as a whole. And what I will do is I will present what the top 10 list was at the time, just like I did with the last one and with this one, and then we'll compare and contrast what is new on the list. So for today, we are doing the 2018 Top 10 Video Games Redux. I'm officially calling these Reduxes because I love Metro and they use the same terminology. So what was the OG list here? Unlike with the 2019 list, I did not make like a GG list for the 2018 list because, in all honesty, I'm kind of embarrassed about the 2018 list. Not about like the game of the year or like the top like 5, I guess, but as a whole, the list makes me embarrassed because there are 2 games on this list that did not even come out in that year. One game had come out in 2017. The other one also, I believe, came out early 2017 or late 2016, which immediately strikes me as odd that I would even do that because I haven't done that in any year past. It's possible that I was confused and I accidentally did that. For whatever reason, I do apologize for putting them on the list in the first place. There's one game on this list that I did not finish, which as you know, nowadays I would never do that. Put a game that I didn't finish on a list. I did end up finishing Death Stranding, by the way, and it is still my 2019 game of the year. But Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, I'm pretty sure I got pretty far in the game, but I don't believe that I finished it officially. So that is also another one that I have taken off the list because it is invalid for this year. So we're starting fresh with those. Other games on the list include Battlefield 5, Halloween Forever, Dead Cells, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Marvel's Spider-Man, and God of War 2018. So let's get started with number 10. So number 10 is The Walking Dead: The Final Season. I know this might be a bit of a controversial pick for some people. I felt like this was a good finale to the entirety of The Walking Dead as a series from Telltale. This was also one of the last things The Walking Dead that I actually consumed because I stopped watching the TV show quite a while before this game even came out. I felt like it was a decent conclusion to Clementine's story. I felt like it was a decent story in general. I do wish that there was more things that you could change throughout the course of it because I felt like there were some things that just seemed inevitable, and that's usually my criticism with most Telltale games is there really isn't that much choice in them at the end of the day. But this one, I did feel like the story was good, even though you couldn't manipulate too much in it. And I also felt like, I thought the music was great, and also the graphic style was nice. So, number 10, The Walking Dead: The Final Season. At number 9, we have Dragon Ball FighterZ. I was pretty obsessed with this game back in 2018. It's one of the only fighting games that I played that year, and I thought it was really good. I mean, not only is a story mode, just it goes once again. It just kind of goes across the usual Dragon Ball affair with just going through like the anime and manga series. But also, I felt like the fighting in the game was really good. I know it was only like a 2D plane, which is kind of it's a bit different from more modern Dragon Ball games, which try to do the whole bombastic scenario where you're flying around an entire area and blah blah blah. But I did not mind the more close nature, the more tight fit nature of Dragon Ball FighterZ. I played it a lot. I enjoyed it, and that's why it would be number 9 on this list. Number 8 is one that I had on the original list, and that was Beat Saber. This is a pretty fun, it's a really fun rhythm game made for VR. Not only do you swing your remotes to the music, but you try and hit various spots of these like blocks that show up, which are usually on rhythm for the songs. There's also things you need to dodge and crouch under. I think that it's a good workout. Two, it's a fun time. And Beat Saber has obviously stood the test of time because it is still active nowadays, adding new songs to the game, and of course, including many popular music as well. Like I believe they had like a Green Day pack, and they added a lot of new music to the game. It's still a fun time, still enjoyable time. I played this on my Oculus when I first got it, and I don't regret that. It was very fun time. Beat Saber, number 8. At number 7, we have Dead Cells. This was another one that was on the original list as well. Dead Cells, you know what it is. It's a really good, not Metroidvania. It kind of has some Metroidvania flavor in it, I suppose. But it's mostly a roguelite. It's it's one of the ones that really started to make the genre explode, I guess you'd say. It's a pretty difficult time, especially later on. A lot of times with these roguelite games, the gameplay loop just doesn't really hit me in the right place. But with Dead Cells and later on Hades from 2020, the roguelite genre would mesh for me in a way that it hadn't before. And honestly, it hasn't for the future. I feel like Dead Cells at this point is a stopgap for me in the roguelite genre that has not been quenched since quite the same way since then. Also, Dead Cells has been supported for quite some time. They've had some big collaborations and some big DLCs, like with Castlevania. So yes, I mean, Dead Cells, fun game, really good time. Number 7. At number 6, we have Detroit Become Human. I know this might be another controversial pick, I suppose. But compared to The Walking Dead, the final season, I felt like Detroit Become Human, and also compared to a lot of Telltale games, I felt like Detroit Become Human actually had some really nice branching paths, things that you could miss out on if something happened to a character, various things that could happen out of the blue just from choosing the wrong option or doing the wrong thing or forgetting to do something in an area. Obviously, there are still some stopgap points that need to happen, so it's not the most perfect experience for people looking for a game where you can kind of do whatever you want and direct the story as you wish. But I feel like it does a pretty good job at that, having that branching narrative. I've been through the game a couple times now. I've had a few different endings for it, and I feel like it is a pretty satisfying game to just kind of see what you can do, how you can spiderweb from that singular point for each of the characters' stories. So Detroit Become Human also has some very good graphics to it, and I also thought that the soundtrack was killer in this one as well. So yes, Detroit Become Human, number 6. Number 5 is Celeste. This is a game we played on stream, and I went through the whole thing. It's a pretty difficult 2D platformer that has incredible music, an incredible style, pixel art style, and of course, very, very good platforming. Like I said, it can get a bit challenging. A lot of people called this a rage game, but I don't know if it's really a rage game per se. I think it's just a difficult game that people can easily get frustrated with because you do die a lot. Now, I don't remember how many deaths I had while going through the game. It was probably like between 100 and 200 or maybe even more. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do remember dying quite a lot, especially in the section with like the inside the ghost house. I felt like that was one of the more difficult sections. And of course, later on, when you're going through like the area with all the thorns and stuff like that, kind of reminded me of Donkey Kong Country a little bit, Diddy's Conquest. Yes, Celeste, it's very good. It builds upon its platforming step by step. So it's not just the same thing over and over again. You do add on new abilities, new power-ups, new gimmicks, I guess. And it does share some things with like the like some Mario stuff. Like obviously, there's like a shadow that follows you around at one point, and it mimics your movements. And then if it touches you, you die. So that is something that has happened in other games before. That's not wholly unique, but I feel like the vibe and the way that it handles it is very well done. So number 5, Celeste. Number 4 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's hard to describe how a game like this can really make you feel. I mean, it smashes together, no pun intended, many different characters from many different IPs in one package of easy to pick up, but difficult to master. Like hero brawler, I guess you could call it. Lots of games have tried to imitate the formula of Smash Brothers. Not many of them have succeeded. The ones that have succeeded have either gone on to be forgotten about, or in the case of multiverses, decided to change themselves and shut down. But Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was the ultimate experience. There's a reason why it's called Smash Bros. Ultimate. It also had some nice DLC to it, including Banjo-Kazooie, which was the ultimate moment for me. And I just, the roster's massive, the maps are massive. The story mode, decent. There is a bit of a challenge later on when you get to the final segment of it. But for the most part, it does give you everything that you want from a Smash Brothers game. Maybe I was just hoping for maybe a more like Super Smash Brothers Brawl type story mode to it, with all these characters. But I understand that could be very difficult to do with the number of characters in this game. So I don't mind what they did. So also, it had pretty much everything you want: a stage builder, all the different configurations that you can do, and the UI was much cleaner than Smash Brothers for the Wii U and 3DS. So number 4, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Number 3 is Marvel's Spider-Man. I still really do love this game. I think it becomes a bit monotonous when you are doing the 100%, which I think most people do, because it's a lot of fun still just to do combat and the stealth sections and et cetera, et cetera. I stand by that. I enjoy Marvel's Spider-Man from 2018 more than Spider-Man 2, which came out in 2023 at this point. And the reason for that is the quick-fire gadgets are much easier to use. I felt like Spider-Man and the stealth sections were better presented and worked a little bit better. Of course, I don't mind Miles Morales at all. I think Spider-Man 2 is an excellent game still to this day. I just feel like in terms of a Spider-Man game, I think that Marvel Spider-Man hits the nail on the head. Are the sections with Miles and Mary Jane a little bit dull at times? Yes, I do feel like those sections can be a bit dull, which is why it's only at number 3 on this list. But everything else in the game, swinging around New York, beating up bad guys, doing side missions, doing the main quests, having all the different villains show up for this game and it works. Is just it's one of those experiences that I really enjoy to come back to, play over and over again. And even the DLC that came out for it was also very well done. So number 3 for Marvel's Spider-Man. Number 2, which might come as a shock because this was the game of the year on the original list, God of War from 2018. God of War 2018 is still one of my favorite experiences in gaming ever. It still tops the top 100 games list, so it's not like it got removed from that contention. But I think that it is a very it's almost like a 5 out of 5 game, right? It's almost there. It's very close to being a 5 out of 5, if not a 5 out of 5 game. It has been a couple years since I replayed it, but I do remember having a very good experience with it. Really enjoying doing the 100%. I think the only places that I really started to get frustrated was with the 100% and doing that maze that you had to do with the harp. I was going to call them harpies. Are they harpies? There's something like that. I felt like I did find a bit of boiling rage inside of me when fighting some of those bosses, and I think there is a little bit of repeated content in there. There's a couple boss fights that are very samey, much like with God of War Ragnarok. I think it has the same criticism there from me. But if those are the only criticisms that I have for the game, that's really not that bad because the combat feels great. Kratos and Atreus have a great connection there. I love the building of character throughout the story for both Kratos and his son. I think it starts at a perfect place for Kratos. You don't really need to know how he got there. You don't really need to know his entire backstory since God of War 3. They just kind of start you in a place that is very natural and it just makes sense. And Kratos' journey in this game, along with Atreus, is just a very good one. Just climbing that mountain. It's a good metaphor, but it's also the thing you have to do, right? And all the trials and tribulations along the way. I think it all meshes so well. The reason why it's not the game of the year is probably just some semantics, some minor criticisms that I have, including those repeated boss fights and some very difficult parts in the 100% process. But those things don't bring the game down that much, in my opinion. It's just impossible to truly beat out the game of the year for this year, the new game of the year for 2018, which is number one, Red Dead Redemption 2. I held off playing this game until this year. I played it early in the year. It took us like a month or two to get all the way through the epilogue and do everything that I wanted to do. And undoubtedly, I do think that the Game Awards did kind of mess up. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 took home so many awards at that showcase, at that event, just to lose the God of War for the Game of the Year title. It doesn't really make sense to me now after playing this game. When I originally watched that, I said, yes, God of War 2018, let's go King. But now that I've played Red Dead 2, gone through all the story, gone through all the open world madness that can occur, gone through all those side missions and side content and strangers that you meet, gone through the trials and tribulations of this gang, up and through the epilogue to see where John Marston ended up post credits. It just undoubtedly is just an excellent and amazing experience. Take away the realism, take away the great graphics, take away all that, shed this thing down to the bones. The story is still fantastic. I think the writing is incredible. I think that they did such a great job with the characters and the building of these characters. When characters died in this game, I felt sad, because you form a connection with pretty much every single character, some more than others, of course, but when those characters kicked the bucket or maybe something happened to them, I felt it because I was really invested in the story. And there's not too many games that can get me to feel a character death quite like Red Dead Redemption 2. Obviously, God of War Ragnarok also hit you in the feels of midway through that game. But I think Red Dead Redemption 2, because of the context of the story, the Western theme, the gang, and what happens afterward with the original game, knowing what happens in that game, it just hits so much harder. The only real nitpick that I have for the game is that I wish that it started in Blackwell with the with the heist gone wrong. I feel like that would have been a perfect place to just start off with an action set piece. But where they started off is after that happens, and they're all just kind of in the mountains, in the snowy mountains, licking their wounds essentially. And I just felt like, okay, I mean, they talk about this whole Blackwater situation so much in this build up, and also throughout the entire game they're talking about what happened at Blackwater, what happened, how did this happen, we gotta go back. And I just wish that we could have gotten maybe some context, some visual context for those things. But that is such a minor gripe that I have about this game. Everything else about this game is immaculate, from the songs to the atmosphere that it creates to the strangers that you meet and all the different random interactions you can have with people, how real this game feels. You go to a town and it feels real, these people are actually living lives and doing things. Obviously it's not perfect, much like any game that claims to have these super realistic elements. It's not perfect, obviously. It's not going to be 100% realistic, but in terms of a video game, I feel like it's the perfect amount of a little bit of arcade in there, but a little bit of realism. Mix those together in a pot, and I think it worked out quite nicely. Gunplay feels great. Horse riding feels great. The camp stuff, doing stuff with your camp, is also very enjoyable. Building up those relationships inside the camp and helping to make it more livable. Just everything going on in the game is very, very well done. So, Red Dead Redemption 2, now the new 2018 game of the year, and I stand by that wholeheartedly. And if you want to let me know what your 2018 game of the year is, I would be happy to know. Just write a comment down below. Thank you for listening to this redux of the top 10 list from 2018. Do appreciate that. I will say it once again, but as always, I'm sorry if I disappointed anyone by redoing this list. I know there's I was just a bit when I look at this list, the 2018 list, I just go, more so than the 2019 list, I just disagree with a lot of this. So I'm happy to come back on here and make some new points, add some new games to this list, and really make it into what I feel like is the 2018 Game of the Year and top 10 games of that year. So thank you for listening. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I will talk at you next time. So long.